folks, Species7 here. Welcome back to the channel. Something really different for my channel today. I'm doing a first look, and although that's not different, what I'm looking at is in fact an MMO. And that is different. This is Trinium Wars. It was recently released on Steam. It is still in early access. Created by a company called Incel Games. If we look up here, we can see Incel Games. Now, if you get it through Steam, you do log in with your Steam account. You don't need to create an account at Incel Games, unlike most MMOs, although they are, or according to them, some, well, perks for doing so. This is my current character. A little backstory. It actually takes place on Earth, but several hundred years after man has fled because he's basically annihilated everything on the planet. When you start, you have a choice. You can be human or narc, which I think is an odd name for the other race. But basically, the narcs are a race that is trying to settle Earth after their home planet was destroyed, and the humans are the humans that have come back from the starships that they set out when the world went south 200 years later, only to find the narcs already living on the planet, along with mutated humans that never got to leave. Now, character creation. There is something rather odd about this game, and that's I can't choose any of the narc characters now because I chose human without deleting my human characters. Oh, for some reason the dog has double spawned. Without deleting my human characters, I can't decide to go with the other side. Now, the humans are a more sci-fi experience, whereas the narc are a more high fantasy type experience. They have the same three classes. You have warrior. I'll just quickly flick through the humans. You have... Oh, I like your shades, dude. Not. You have the ghost. Oops, sorry. That was the female warrior. You have your ghost, which is the class I'm actually playing. They kind of make it, you know, assassin in darkness who attacks. They make it sound like perhaps a rogue type character. It doesn't really play that way. And you have your female ghost. Then you have your espers. And espers are sort of your almost sorcery related, but it's not magic. They actually use Trinium, which is the resource on the planet that everybody's looking for. And as you can see, actually, I only get to choose from the human characters. When you would normally start, you would have double this amount, and you would have the same, they're the same classes, and you get to choose male or female. Yeah. And of course, it's got the whole Asian influence thing where you got to have at least one character that looks like an underage girl. So, like I say, I do find it, I'm actually going to go back, I won't be creating a character. I do find it a little odd that once you do that, you're basically stuck only playing that side's view. Most MMOs that have factions, you could join each different faction in these extra slots, or you could simply create, you know, one of each type of character, etc. But let's jump in and have a look. As I say, it is early access. Things are still happening. It's a relatively cheap game to get into. It is not a free-to-play, but I think I paid just under $6 Canadian. That's the entry-level package. It basically gets you the game and the funky-looking gas mask I'm wearing, which so far is better than anything I've found in loot, although I have found some decent loot. That said, there is most certainly a cash shop involved. Is it pay to win? Don't mind this, guys. Like I said, it's not only early access, but I don't have the latest and greatest of internet service. It'll straighten itself out. Is it pay to win? Maybe a little bit. But again, that depends on what you look at. I listen to people's, you know, oh yeah, it's free to play, but it's definitely pay to win because you can buy experience boosters and stuff. Well, Not necessarily. I mean, it depends what you play. And unlike most people, when I play an MMO, I play it for the leveling experience, believe it or not, as opposed to the end game. I'm not a big fan of the end game stuff, but the leveling experience I really enjoy. And in this game, it's, well, I'd have to say, like pretty much everything else I would rate this game for, it's pretty much average, okay? As you can see, we can sort of zoom in, have a good look at our character. There is a fair bit of customization, I'll give it that. You can, make your character look a little more distinct. Here's a first look at our world. Most of the items you see out here are related to your early quests. I'm basically, I guess, still on Noob Island. Harvesting is a thing, and you don't have to take any special sort of talents. You merely have to either press the F or double click, and you can see a progress meter winds through. When it's done, you get the goodies that were in there. And each thing you can harvest a few times. And I thought, wow, that's kind of unusual, until I realized that everyone shares these nodes. So if someone else were to run up, not to this, because abandoned boxes, there's only one, i.e. if you open this, you get what's in it, which so far has only been composite fibers. But things like ore veins, plants, that sort of thing, you see that I could take considerably more. Like when I come up to this ore vein and I harvest, I can harvest 3 or 4 times till it's gone. You'll see it says 10 out of 10. After one full harvest, it's 4 out of 10. Ooh, I got gold. Nice. Alright. So I get to harvest again. Now, if someone else had run up here, they would have got that last harvest. Oh, second last harvest. Sorry. And then maybe I would have had time to jump on this one and gotten 2 of the 3. So if there's lots of other players around, it's probably a nice idea to just sort of, share and share alike, as it were. There are some resources that are considerably more important than others. There are certain crystals, etc., that grow that you kind of need for upgrading items and stuff like that. All the purple ones around here, unfortunately, because I'm still on Noob Island, as I said, I can only actually harvest them when they send me out to. Yeah, that's why they say training above them. The normal nodes would not, and you would simply harvest them the same way I did with all of that stuff. There's one other player. Oh, at least I'm not the only one. There's currently only one server. Again, early access, blah, 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 working on the game. So, yeah, there's only one server, and it is labeled as PvP, but I don't know. The PvP, I believe, is actually a sort of a different experience entirely, and I'm not really going to get into it this time around. So if we have a look down in our UI here we have skill list, some of which I have already leveled a couple of times. Skills are acquired through skilled trainers, much like, a fairly common method, certainly, in MMOs. Not all of them work that way, of course, but some of them certainly do. Here's your inventory. There's a lot of lock slots. Now you can, I believe there's a couple of quests that'll open a couple of more spots, and I think beyond that it's sort of a cash shop thing. So reasonably limited inventory. Upgrading is relatively simple. You can do it anywhere pretty much on the fly. You convert the crystals I was talking about that you find, like this stuff, Ramda. If I double right click, it all disappears, and this number has gone up. I require these crystals down here. If I want to take a piece of armor or a weapon and strip it down, then I do require these crystals, because it will use these crystals to give me these, and M crystals allow you to upgrade items. So there you go. Anyway, complicated enough, but there is a crafting system and there is an upgrade system available. Now, something that I think kind of does come over into the pay-to-win area. this item here, an electronic magnifier, that basically allows you to identify items, okay? Now this is the superior, so it will only allow you to identify superior items. You'll see these two unidentifieds are rare, these two are high-end. So it will not identify any of those. Now, at any of the NCP or NPCs, I can buy the one that will allow me to identify rares. Unfortunately, these are both for warriors, so I'm not going to waste my money. High ends, as far as I know, you can only buy the magnifiers through the shop. So, yeah, like the cash shop. So I'm not terribly impressed there. Now, it may in fact be that at some point, you know, I'll be able to go to someone like this general store and they'll carry it, right? But don't count on it. Yeah, see, there's for rare, and they're not cheap. They're 2,500 coin. And then there's superior, right? These are high-end. So neither of these will unlock it. And like I said, I'm not going to spend 5,000 on those just to unlock something that at this point in time, at least, I can't use, right? So NPCs work pretty much the same. Quest givers, surprise, surprise, are these fellows with the arrows over their head. One thing that is a little bit different in this particular one is you do get to drive things like tanks and you know, various vehicles like that, but there's sort of instanced areas. Like you'll get a quest that will say use this device and go do that and blah 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 blah. I'm just going to go up here so I can demonstrate a little combat. Yeah, see, this person's heading straight for the ore. I'll let them take it. Normally I would hog all the resources I could find. Well, not hog, but I certainly would have stopped there as well. So it is your typical tab target type of, as opposed to, say, action style. For instance, that guy there, yeah, using one of my specialized skills, I took him down in pretty much a single shot. You know, I've also got, like, standard machine gun fire, which is that one, which allows him to get close enough to actually take a chunk out of me. And then you can, again, either with the F key or by targeting on them, you can loot stuff. So, here's some of the crystals. Alright, always important to collect as much of this as you can. And as you see, the crystals are usually a little bigger. She got it, so there's nothing else there. I'm going to go grab this one, because they are important. You're going to be, like I said, using them continuously to upgrade your stuff and get a little bit ahead of the game. Now, all characters, I believe, are actually dual wielders, and if I press that, or I pick a skill, and then pick it again, I can switch to my daggers, because this particular character runs daggers. There we go. And as you can see, didn't do too badly with them at all. And when you get up to doing your upgrading your skills, etc., of course, you can sort of lean in either direction, or both, if you want to share them. Healing potions seem common enough. This particular class, at least so far, doesn't have any other method of healing other than potions. So, and again, Tau is another type of crystal, all of which become very useful when you get to... well, this one's still showing. Has it got some left in it? Ooh, it does too. Ha. Whoever that was, they left one. Thank you very much. Alright. Alright. So that's sort of a little look at the combat thing. And like I said, if I wanted to... whoop. If I wanted to target him, I could just simply see if I click the skill, it switched weapons. Now if I click it again, it'll actually do that. So that's a really good machine gun skill, that leg break. It's supposed to slow the enemies down, but these level 3 enemies, it actually just blows them the heck away. So good enough. Oh, there we go. See, this one I can identify with, and I will do that here. We'll just step out of harm's way. As you can see, they don't exactly have a huge aggro ring, which is nice because things do respawn, obviously, as these are not all instanced areas, so you are going to be sharing them with other people. So it's got a decent respawn rate, but in light of that, they've also toned down the aggro distance considerably, which is a good combination. I played a couple of MMOs where, my God, by the time you would kill something, you know, it would have respawned again, and you could literally just stand there trying to, you know, keep yourself alive long enough to run the heck away. So, there's a quick look at the combat, and if we go into our inventory, you can see I picked up a few of these crystals. Again, right-click them, and it will put them all down here into this form. In the crystal form, if you die out in the field, you can end up losing them. So it's always good to convert them whenever you think about it. At least so far, that seems to have been. Now, I do have these, which will identify superior items. So if I right-click this and go Appraise, it'll bring up this. Now, you do have a chance of failing. Keep that in mind as well. Well, it's Esper armor to start with, so I can't actually use it. And it's certainly weaker than what I have currently wearing. So, and anytime you do hover over, you'll see it does compare it. Even though I can't wear it, it does show you the difference. Yeah, as you can see, physical defense of 94 as opposed to 32 for the Esper. But I think Esper is maybe light armored. I'm sort of medium armor, and the Warriors would be the heavy armor. So, the other thing I find really odd about the game, if I were to walk up to this NPC and buy that piece of gear, and in fact there is an armor merchant here, alright, I don't know he'll have that exact piece of gear. Now I'm hoping they'll fix this and rebind it. Alright, 240 for either of those pieces of armor. Alright, I actually already own this one. But, so yeah, 240 for either of those. Okay, and yet they will pay 1. For every item you sell, they'll pay only 1. So, yeah, it's... Like I said, I'm hoping that that is something that they will straighten out in the future. Right, and then you've got your Psychic's armor. So, but for now, or they're trying to encourage you to do the other thing, which is to extract. Alright, now this will give you one of these M crystals to do upgrades, but it will use something from down here. So, there we go, use Stigma. Alright, and I broke it down, now I have a couple extra M crystals to do upgrades, which are really, really simple to do. If you go to your character, let's just bring up the profile. Let's say I wanted to upgrade... Alright, well this, just as an example, okay? So let's take it and put it here. Now, I can, if I right-click it and go to Upgrade, you'll see it wants me to place crystals here. Alright, and the upgrade is going to be one of these purple guys, which is the Stigma. So, let's turn the power on. And again, this is a random, as you can see here. It will either put it up a level. If it fails, it could either be destroyed, or it could downgrade it to a -1. So, you know, I'm going on the old theory that early doors, you're probably successful most of the time. Right? I mean, a level 1, you'd probably start to be pushing it. So now, as you see, it's a 94 plus 7 and a 129 plus 7. So that works really well, and then you can just right-equip. There you go. Or right-click, sorry, and then re-equip it. So, not a bad little system there. Other than that, as I say, this is just a quick look. Now, I'm maybe 3 hours into the game. That's what I put into it so far, which of course is absolutely nothing for an MMO. These are your trainers. Right. You had a few other NPCs here that you can chat with. But for the most part, it is a very, very standard MMO. Nothing wrong with that. If you, like I said, because I enjoy the leveling processes in MMOs, you know, just getting out, doing the exploring, checking out the different enemies, doing all of that sort of thing, more than fits my bill. And again, because this is a relatively inexpensive MMO to get into, you can have an awful lot of fun with it before you really have to worry about moving on or moving up. All right. So, there you go. That's going to do it. This was not meant, as I said, to be a detailed look at the MMO at large. It's, as I said, just to sort of introduce what they released in case you maybe noticed it on Steam and thought, hey, it looks interesting. Well, I would have to say, all in all, it's not a bad little game. And, of course, being early access, it will, well, I could say only get better, but that's never really a guarantee, is it? But so far, I'm liking it. As I said, I've put a few hours into it. I've, you know, gotten me $5 out of her. I'll give her that. I don't know what the heck he's doing, but I think we're just going to pop him off with our big powerful spell there. Or shot, I should say. I say, you can either double-click them or simply click the L, or the F. Oh, there's some wild Ramda crystal. Nice. Alright, guys, there you go. That has been our... Ooh, there's a large one. I'm going to gather some of that. That has been our look at Trinium Wars. Available now on Steam. As I said, fairly inexpensive, interesting game. Well worth checking out. Hope you enjoyed the small sort of preview here, our first look, as it were. If you did, be appreciated if you hit the old like button. Nobody else is around. I'm going to take all of this. And feel free to share a favorite, do all those YouTubey things. But above all, take care of each other, folks. This has been Species 7. Ciao for now. Yes, we'll take more.